This is Fred Bohlmann, Senior Application Engineer from NexGenSolutions. We're an Autodesk reseller selling all sorts of Autodesk products, including Inventor and Vault, which are the ones I specialize in. This video, I'm going to be covering the Style and Standard Editor. So first of all, the Style and Standard Editor, what does that do? Basically, it controls your balloons, dimensions, layers, line entities, symbols, tables, and so on. You can use this to control the documents and drawings that the rest of the people in your team and company are using. So you want to set this up before all the drawings really get going, and then you probably will never touch it again. So the first thing you have to understand, the styles are stored both inside the document and inside the project library. If those two things don't line up, you're going to get a prompt telling you that. All right, before we make any changes, the first thing you need to know is that the style library is marked as read-only by default. This is to prevent that from being changed by accident or any other changes to it. So if you're like me and you're working inside the Vault, you will have to make sure that your project file is checked out. You can see here that I have my project file checked out. So it's in a work in progress state. I can go ahead and make changes to it. If you don't use the Vault, you can skip that step. It's slightly easier. Then on the home page inside Inventor, I can hit the three dots next to the project file and hit Settings. And you can see right here, Use Style Library is set to read only. We can right click on that and change it to read write, and now we're able to make changes to it. One thing to note before you get really far into it, underneath the folder options, you'll see templates and design data. Really good idea to back both these up before you make any changes to it. I've already gone ahead and backed up those files. So you can see I navigated to the default location, found the design data and the templates. I copied them over into a folder inside my C drive. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to update these. We're going to right click, hit edit, hit the browse button, go to my C drive, style demo, and templates. The first one I selected, and we can do it again. Instead of doing right click, I'll go ahead and hit the pencil icon. It does the same thing. But as all good programs, there's multiple ways of doing the same thing every time, so I'll show both. All right, design data. There we go. Now we got those. We're going to hit save. That's going to make those three changes, and done. Now, to edit the style editor, you actually have to have a drawing open. I'm going to open one from the tutorials. So you can see already I have some changes that have been made in here. We're going to go ahead and show how we can manipulate that even more. If you go to the Manage tab, under the Style and Standard panel, you have the Style Editor. I can go ahead and select that. And this right here is your basic library. It's got all sorts of standards, and you can see where you got the balloons. You can come in here. You can expand it and see that we're using the ANSI for the balloons, because that's the one that I defaulted to. And you can change how the leader style is, text style, the shape of the balloons. You can control all that from right here. There's actually a lot more standards than what's shown. You want to use this filter over here. Right now I'm just showing the local standards. But if I went and switch to all styles, we'll see that it expands and shows all the standards that are actually available. There's a lot of things you can do with this. Like I mentioned, the document does store these. So right now, the only one that's on the document is this. If I wanted to add more to the document, say I'm working with someone in Great Britain, so I know I'm going to send them a template and I want them to be able to use both, I can go ahead, right click on it, and say Save and Document. Now if I went to my local styles, I'll see that the document is actually stored both of these standards. And if I expand others, I can see that it comes all the way down here. We have multiple choices. So let's go ahead and make some changes here. I want to make those leader lines with extensions for the dimensions. I don't like them being red, so I'll go ahead and expand that. I believe they're using default ANSI. So I'll come in here, the display tab, and yep, for sure, there's the color for the lines. I'm going to go ahead and change that and make it black. Hit OK. Now I can hit save, and you can see that this effect is taken right away. It's a really nice feature, something that you can do to quickly change all the dimensions in a snap. Other things you can do, if, for example, if you want these to show up as fractional, I can go ahead and right click on that, say, hey, I want to replace this style with fractional, hit OK, and there we go. Now I've switched it, so right now fractional is the current active one. Another thing I'd like to cover, if you don't want to have all these extras in here loaded with the document, I mean, the advantage to having each document have its own, if you wanted to send that document to another person with all those styles they might need, but don't want to share your entire library, it's a great method. But if you want to go ahead, you can go right click on those and you can purge styles that aren't being utilized. There's a quicker way to do that as well. I'll hit cancel so that comes back. There's a purge here, and it will come up with a little prompt, and it'll show all the extra stuff that was added that's currently not being used. And you can say yes or no if you want to purge them. In this case, I like the choices made because I do want to keep the default ANSI in there for the dimension. Eventually, I'm going to go back to that. So I'm going to hit OK. Now within the standard library, we'll see that it's boiled it down to only showing what's being used rather than all the options that were there before. Now let's go ahead and give a good example of how styles are specific to the document and the project files separately. If I were to go ahead and change the layers, let's go to border. I think that'll be the easiest one to see. We'll just change it to this green color, hit save and close. There you go, we can see that has been changed. If I go ahead and do a new file, let's create that drawing. It comes in with the black borders, it doesn't keep it. So right now it's only specific to this file. Actually, let's open one of the templates. So I'm going to navigate to the templates we're using. If you recall, I changed that to the style demo. I'm using ANUS, and I'm going to be using the standard IDW template for those drawings. I'll hit open. That's fine. All right, why don't we go ahead and change our styles. So we can come in here. Well, I'm going to make the same change I did before. Make that size. Maybe I want to change the line weight. Why don't we do something noticeable? So maybe 7. Then larger. Yep, so it got larger and it's now pretty green. So now that we made a change, I'm going to go ahead and save that template. Let's go ahead and open up the new drawing using that standard now. And we're going to get this prompt. This is probably something a lot of people have seen. Basically, I know it's very wordy. Basically what it's saying is, hey, the document's style doesn't match what the style library is. So we're going to ignore what the document's saying, and that we're going to use the style library instead. So if we hit OK, I should see black lines instead of green. And by golly, we do. Now if I go ahead and open up that template file again, this is just telling me that my search paths aren't set up for this, and that's fine. Yep, it's still green, so you can see it's being overwritten. Now, if you want to update your style library, you just go back to your Manage tab, and you can see this little Save option. If you hover over it, it'll tell you Save Styles to Style Library. We press that, we get a little prompt, and it will have a list in here and all the changes that you made. And basically, it's telling you, do you want, these are what we found different between the document and the library. Do you want to save them? You can hit yes to all. If you're happy with how it looks in the background, you're going to be happy with how it looks in the library. We hit OK. And it gives you this warning, this operation cannot be undone. That's why I suggested we go ahead and back up everything before you do this. Hit yes. We'll go ahead and close that. Sure, we can save this to changes. Now let's go ahead and make a new file using the standard IDW, and we can see that the colors came along through with it. So that's how you can change both the library and your document. And if you get that message, now you know what it means. So you can update your templates to show them correct. The next thing I should mention, update, it's the opposite. It's when you're pulling information from your library and you're putting it in your document. So those are those 4 commands that are up there. So I want to tie this into a video I made prior to this. We were talking about how to set up your revision tables in Vault and push that into the drawing. If you're going to change how the order of it works, you're going to want to have to create a new revision table down here. You can see that I have done so, and I added columns and rearranged these to match what the Vault's pushing out. That way, when you make the revision table, it follows the style, so it knows what columns to do, and the Vault's updating each of those columns appropriately. So a lot of ways to do this. I just went ahead and I copied the revision table and did a new style. I named it so I wasn't making a different one change in it. And then I had something to start off with, and I was able to make the column changes. Then I went to Object Defaults. And you can see in here, it comes down and it has all the different defaults you have, and you can choose which thing you want active. I'm looking at local styles again. Let me change that so we can see all the options. All right. I want my center marks to follow, maybe I wanted to follow an ISO file or something. And then I went down to find revision table right here. And you can see I have it changed so it's using the Vault style, not the ANSI style. And we go ahead, save and close. And now those have been taking effect inside this drawing. If I wanted to upload the changes I made to the project file, I can do so right there. Got two more things I wanted to mention before we wrap this video up. The first of which, if you wanted to ever export these options, you can totally do so. You just right-click the standard you want, and you can hit export. And then you can go ahead and save that file where you like to put it. And then you can import it, styles the same way. You just use the import button on the bottom left, choose the style that you've saved, and put it where you want it to. Once you're done making all your changes, I would recommend closing all the files that you have open, going back to your project file, and making sure that's read only again. Save that and done. Now those changes have been played and everything is the way you want it to be. If you're using the Vault, make sure to check in the project file once again. Everyone on your team is going to have to get the latest version of that file in order to make it work. With that, we're done talking about how to use the style and standard editor. So if you guys have more questions or you guys want to get more in depth on it, feel free to reach out and talk to us here at NexGenSolutions. Love to give you guys a hand. Once you start using it, it's actually much simpler to understand. So hope this helps, and have a great day.